Bonjour, c'est moi, madame. I'm here to start some basic conversation with you so that we can continue in our studies. And this will be some of the most important conversation that you have every single day with me, with the students in the class, and with other people who are French speakers. So let's go ahead and get started. First up, how to say hello and goodbye. The words for hello and goodbye are listed here with a pronunciation under each one. I've put in all caps the syllable that is going to be accented. As we speak French together, you'll notice that the accented syllable usually comes at the end of a word or a phrase. So this will be very important to note. Let's start with hello. Bonjour. 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 Okay, so every time I say it, you try it too. Bonjour. Bonjour. A couple of tips for being able to pronounce this word correctly. B-O-N, when we look at it, we would say bon, but remember we're going to apply our French pronunciation to it. The O, instead of coming straight out or straight down, ba, it's going to come at more of a 45-degree angle, ball. And the N will not be the result of your tongue touching the top of your mouth. It will actually be the result of being shoved back in the nasal cavity. It's very interesting to do. When you put these together, it sounds like bon, bon. Keep your tongue at the bottom of your mouth. Bon. For the next syllable, our hard J sound, j, is now going to be a j sound. So when you see a J, it will sound like a j sound. The OU sound is an oo sound. Make sure you round your lips so that your upper lip comes up a little bit towards your nose. And then the R will come from the back of your throat. Not forced, just very easy. It sounds like this. Bonjour. Bonjour. To make sure that you are doing these correctly, we're going to take these two fingers, and for your first syllable, I'd like you to put them on the bridge of your nose and say bon, bon, bon. And as you move your fingers down your nose, right here in your nasal cavity, you'll feel the vibrations. That's your nasal N, and that's how you know you're doing it correctly. Try again. Bon, bon. Now for jour, I'm going to take one of your index fingers and make yourself a French moustache, and you are going to try and use your upper lip to force your finger to touch your nose. Ooh, ooh. And that's how you know you're doing the O sound right. Jour, jour, jour. And the R just from the back of your throat instead of from your lips. So putting it all together, bonjour, back of the throat. So eventually, yes, you do get to stop using your fingers on that. But let's give it a try. Bonjour, bonjour, bonjour. Should be pretty easy for you now. Practice as much as you need to. The next one is to say goodbye. Looks like it would be a 3-syllable word, but it's actually a 2-syllable word. Au revoir, au revoir. And that R that's there, again, comes from the back of your throat. There are 2 R's in revoir. The first one comes from the back of the throat, and the last one just barely leaves your lips. Au revoir, au revoir, au revoir, au revoir, au revoir. Let's practice both of those before we move on to our next section. Bonjour, bonjour, au revoir, au revoir. Great job. Let's learn some more. Now that we know how to say hello and goodbye, sometimes we might want to have a conversation with someone that's a little less formal, and we just want to say hi and bye. The great thing about hi and bye in French is that they are essentially the same word. So kind of works like aloha, I guess, in Hawaiian. So you're going to say salut, salut. 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 And this can mean hi and bye. Now you'll notice in my pronunciation, I did capitalize the letters in the second syllable, salut, because that is going to get the most emphasis. But I put some asterisks around that U, and that's because this is a U sound that English speakers don't really make. To be able to make the French U sound, you are going to round your lips while you say the letter E. Let's give it a try. Round your lips and say the letter E. Ooh, ooh, ooh. It sounds really strange. It's a very puckered up U or a very closed off E, one of the two. But this is how we say this. So if you're trying to say salut, what you're actually saying is Sally, like the girl's name, emphasis on the second syllable. But instead of Sally and your lips parting and smiling, you're going to pucker up and make an oo sound. Okay, so or an oo shape with an E sound. So let's try it. Sa, lu, sa, lu, salut, salut, salut. If you're doing it right, you will feel when it's very, very tense, you'll feel the sides of your tongue on the insides of your cheeks. Lu, lu, lu. And you can feel your tongue feeling way too large inside your mouth. So if you're trying that and you have it very tensed up, then you know you're doing it right. Let's try it again before we move on to the next slide. Sa, lu, salut. This phrase is one that you can use with people that you call by their first name or that you have a familial relationship with. Hello and goodbye can be used with anyone, but definitely in more formal situations. So if you wanted to talk to your teacher, you would use bonjour and au revoir. If you wanted to talk to a boss at work, bonjour, au revoir. If you want to talk to a friend or a family member, salut, salut. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, so now that we know how to say hi and bye to each other and hello and goodbye, we're going to need a little bit more conversation. So in between those phrases, you can ask, how's it going? This is a pretty informal one. We'll learn some more formal ones later, but let's focus on just talking to our friends right now. This phrase is really easy because you can also use it to answer the phrase. It literally means, is it going? Ça va? Ça va? The letter A makes the same sound in both of those words because it has the same kind of position in there. So it'll make the same sound. You'll notice that the letter C in front of an A in our language would normally make a K sound. But we're not going to say ka here because of one little thing. If you look closely, you can see a little tiny mark hanging off of that C. This is one of our French accents called a cedilla. And what it does is looks like a little 5 without its lid on it, like if you draw the number 5 and you don't put the top on it. That's what it looks like. And what it does is it turns a hard C or a K sound into a soft C or an S sound. So instead of saying kava, we're going to say sava. So if you ever see that on a letter C, then you're going to say sava. So let's practice asking it. Make it sound like a question. Sava? Sava? And on the right-hand side of your screen, you see some responses to this. The basic answer is right there in the middle. It looks just like the question. Ça va? Is it going? It's going. Repeat after me. Répétez. Ça va? Ça va. Above that, if it's going well, then you would say it's going well. Ça va bien. Ça va bien. There's those nasal ends again. Instead of getting your tongue to touch the roof of your mouth, you just kind of leave it hanging down at the bottom. Bien, bien, bien. Ça va bien. If it's going really well, we're going to say ça va très bien. It's going very well. Très is the word for very. The R comes from the back of the throat, but this time instead of having it be by itself, it's going to mix with the letter T. Très, très, très. Let's try all three of those, starting with ça va. Ça va. Ça va bien. Ça va très bien. Very good. Très bien. In the center, we have kind of a flat face. It's not good. It's not bad. It's just so so. So when we say it's so so, we kind of do our hands like this. French people do it like this because they're saying it's going kind of like this or it's going kind of like that. Ça va comme si, comme ça. It's going like this and like that. Répétez. Ça va comme si, comme ça. Ça va comme si, comme ça. Good. Just below that, now we're starting to get into the ones that are not as good. So ça va comme si, comme ça is kind of the middle ground. Everything above it is good stuff. Everything below it is bad stuff. And you'll see some similarities. Ça va and the next one with the pas in it, P-A-S, they're opposites. Okay, so one's a good one, it's going well. Ça ne va pas is the next one. It means it's not going well. It literally says it's not going. So repeat after me. Ça va. Ça ne va pas. Good job. Ça ne va pas. Ça ne va pas. Ça va bien is really good. It's going well. It's opposite. Ça va mal. Ça va mal. And then if it's going really badly, it'll be the opposite of it's going really well. So if it's going really well, you say ça va très bien. But if it's going badly, ça va très mal. Ça va très mal. Ça va très mal. Let's try all of them, starting with the question, and then going from top to bottom on the right-hand side. Repeat after me. Répétez. Ça va? Ça va très bien. Ça va bien. Ça va. Ça va comme si, comme ça. Ça ne va pas. Ça va mal. Ça va très mal. And now, before we go to the next slide, I'll ask you, ça va? Which one would you pick? Let's go to the next slide. So now that we have enough items to make a full conversation, let's try it out. So this is a sample, very simple conversation, and we are going to try out pronunciations. I'm going to say them, and you will listen and repeat to each one, and I'll just go back and forth between the conversations. And then we're going to speak it together. I'll start with the left, and you respond with the right. If you like, you can give your own answers. Let's start with repeating. Bonjour. Bonjour. Ça va? Ça va bien. Ça va? Ça va très bien. Au revoir. Au revoir. Very good. Now let's practice together as though we were having a conversation. You can use the lines on the right, or you can make up your own. Bonjour. Ça va? Ça va très bien. Au revoir. That's the end of our slides for today. Feel free to listen to this as many times as you need to. Just like we talked about in class, you can listen to it 1 time, 5 times, 10 times. Be ready to practice with it for our next class period. That's it. Au revoir.